Hard Knocks debuted the 2021 season last night on HBO. I watched it, featuring America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And it's funny, this morning, USA Today had a headline, 5 takeaways from Hard Knocks. I started reading it. I'm like, what am I reading this for? I don't need your 5 takeaways. I got a couple. Number one, I was not the biggest Dak Prescott fan. I think people that watch this show know that. I'm less of a Dak Prescott fan coming out of watching this show. What a whiner. What a whiner. Look, I understand you want to take every rep. I get it. You can't take every single rep. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He was very upset
that he couldn't.
That he was pulled early in this training camp a couple weeks ago because they want to give the backups some work. Danny Bonaducci, the backup quarterback. Well, Ben DiNucci's his name, but I call him Danny Bonaducci, which means nothing to you, do you? He was the star of the Partridge Family. Anyways, that was one. Dak, come on, stop whining. Let these other guys have some work. And then, of course, he ends up getting hurt. 2, the biggest one was Jarrah. When he was talking to the team, I thought it was the head therapist. You said it was the team doctor.
Yeah, it was one of the two.
Yeah. So he's writing with an HB pencil these notes on Dak, talking with the medical staff on the phone. And we all take away different things. But my thing was this. He's eating a McDonald's Egg McMuffin, Jarrah Jones. And people are saying, well, what's odd about that? He's worth $7-8 billion. How did he not have a Red Seal chef at his ready? You know, here you go, Mr. Jones. You know, with his choice, an omelet station.
Yeah, exactly. He's got Benedict or something like.
Right. An omelet station, a guy cutting a roast at the end of the table. Jerry, when you're done with the trainer, we have your choice here of ham, roast beef. Do you want that in your omelet, Mr. Jones?
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Now,
can't remember my roommate's name, but we couldn't get into our room, and 2 exotic dancers came down the hallway and said, "Here you go. Let us give you a hand with that."
How about that?
I was 16. It was like,
whoa.
Mandy at Edmonton has checked in, by the way. She says, flashback. I did find glitter around an ex's house all the way into the bedroom. Now you know. No charge.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, yes it is. Guilty as charged. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. Here live on our television partner, Game Plus TV. Also live on our radio partner, WQEE. Shout out Rhino Radio. What's popping down there in Atlanta? 99.1 FM. Streaming live on YouTube daily and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm here in the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Can we please bring in Moose? He's in the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And Moose, did you break a bead of sweat? I know about 90 seconds before we went to air, you lost my feed here, and it's just, I randomly get kicked off the Wi-Fi here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center. It's a thing. Were you ready to open this show by yourself?
No. You know what? Actually, I was ready to open the show. But as my mind's a squirrel, like Leanne's on the other side of the wall, and there's some pretty exciting Olympic things going on. So I'm trying to watch that. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I better have some content ready to go here because I might be coming back into host. But we're all good.
You'd have been ready. I know you would have been ready. Coming up on the program today, listen, Blue Jays fans, which all of Canada is, I'm sure. I certainly like 98% of Canada's Blue Jays fans. We got Mike Wilner coming up from the Deep Left Field podcast, Toronto Star columnist, and Mark Shapiro, the president of the Blue Jays, spoke yesterday. Almost the year end with a month to go, over a month to go in the regular season. We'll get Mike Wilner's take on where the Blue Jays are and where they're going. And we've got Bryn Griffiths, Mighty Mouth, going to join us from Edmonton to talk all thing Edmonton sports and Olympics, too, because he has a very large global view. He's been all around the world. So that's the guests today. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please? And we will get down to business. Okay, the big story, let's be honest, I'm not obtuse enough to think that the Olympics is not the biggest story. And we've got news today, Darren, news today. Canadian weightlifter Maude Chiron has won silver in the women's 59-kilogram weight class at the Paris Games for her second Olympic medal. The 31-year-old from Rimouski, Quebec, won gold at the last Olympics in the 64-kilo category, which is no longer in the Olympics. She was one of Canada's flag bearers for the opening ceremony in Paris. And the Canadian men's 4x100-meter relay team will compete for a medal at the Paris Olympics. The team of Aaron Brown, Jerome Blake, Brendan Rodney, and Andre DeGrasse ran a time of 38.39 seconds to finish third in their heat and qualify for Friday's final. I got more, and I could go on, but what are you watching right now? What's on your radar Olympic-wise right now?
Yeah, that 4x100-meter semis and into the final, that's on the radar for sure. But 200-meter finals is this afternoon. But we were just watching beach volleyball, and the pair of Canadian women just beat the Swiss in a third set right down to the wire. So they're going to the gold medal game, and I believe it's the first time a Canadian beach volleyball team's ever going to play for gold. So that's exciting.
I know that it's just blowing people's minds around the world that Canada would have a beach volleyball team. What? They have beaches there? I thought they were known for igloos and sled dogs. It's like Jamaica having a bobsled team, except we're actually winning.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you, Darren, for that update, because I'm ready to move on. Because here's the thing, the Olympics are going to be over in less than a week, and we're still going to be sitting here talking about the usual stuff we always talk about. Point two, Toronto Blue Jays president and CEO Mark Shapiro says his 9th season at the helm of the club has been by far the most disappointing to date. But Shapiro hinted that general manager Ross Atkins will get a chance to rebuild the Blue Jays into a contender this offseason. Toronto will almost certainly miss the playoffs this year after being swept 2-0 in the 2-0 in the AL wildcard series in 2020, 2022, and 2023. I got a question before I move on to other baseball. I wonder if Blue Jays fans can put enough pressure on Rogers and whoever's running it these days to fire these guys. Because I was an Alex Anthopoulos guy. I think we all were. And for whatever reason, they came in. And as Jim Lang said, oh, they know more than everybody. They told us they know more than us goofy Canadians about baseball. So we were told to shut up and sit back and watch. And now this. So it's like Shapiro sounds like he's got the run of the hen house there. So what's it going to take to get these guys out with the Blue Jays? And is that even right? I don't know. I mean, I'm just casually dipping my toe into baseball here right now. I was saying to Joe this morning, I don't really understand it. I mean, I understand it, but I don't understand the culture. I want to win every year. I don't know. But I guess that's not reasonable. What do you think it'll take to get rid of these guys? Yeah, sure. Or should we get rid of these guys or not? What do you think?
I think something's got to give. Yes, by all accounts, and again, I'm not a baseball guy, so I'm taking other people's opinions here. But the Jays did a decent job at the trade deadline, getting the most for some of their assets and turning those into some good prospects and all the rest. But as you just mentioned, 2020, 2022, 2023, losing out on those wild card games. Yeah, the team is on paper good enough to be a playoff team and get to the playoffs, but they're not getting the results. And when the results aren't there, the moves aren't being made. John Schneider is still there. And I think a lot of people thought maybe he should have been gone at the end of last year, maybe at times already this year, with these two running the team. I think, fans right now, I would say if they could have their wishes, they want some change in either on the bench or the management of the Blue Jays. I think that's what they would want going into next season.
But hey, listen, this isn't necessarily new, but I want to point something out to people. We had Buck Martinez on the air. Remember last year at the end of the season, I said how disappointed I was in them being swept in the wild card series. And he was like, well, Rod, it's a great series. The Blue Jays, they're a contender every year. He was selling it as the Blue Jays guy. And I think we all love Buck Martinez, don't we? But I'm like, hey, You're being paid, I think, by the Blue Jays. So I'll give you a little point, everybody. As 20 seasons voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders here, I remember after I was fired from that job, like literally 2 weeks later, I was in a pool in Mexico with a pig farmer from Saskatchewan. And he was saying, I was just kind of saying, yeah, it's not all what you think, and we're not that good a team. And he goes, well, wait a minute. You said this and this. I said, yeah, but I had to say that. I was the voice of the Rough Riders. I didn't really mean it. And he's like, Well, I think I just kind of lost some respect for you because you weren't saying it the way that it was. Buddy, I don't care what you think. I was doing my job. You know what I mean? And so my point is now I don't really know who to believe, whether it's Troy Aikman, who I love with the Cowboys. He's telling me to believe that Dak Prescott's all that. And I'm like, it's not passing the eye test. Here's Buck Martinez telling me the Blue Jays are fine. I don't know. They really stink. I don't know. It's called gaslighting in the recovery world. I won't go that far as to say what they're doing, but it's just, what do you believe? Anyways, we'll get to the bottom of this with Mike Wilner a little later on. Listen, a lot of my people's social media feeds are rife with this. The baseball playoffs last night, 2 massive upsets on the road in night 1 of the Western Canadian Baseball League playoffs. Moose Jaw winning in Regina 4-3 last night. Serena and I were there. The Miller Express are up 1-0. We go for the sweep tonight at Roswell's Park, and Serena and I will have the broadcast of it at 7:05 on Home Team Live. And the Saskatoon Berries went into Medicine Hat, beat the Mavericks 6-4 last night, and the Berries go for the sweep tonight in Saskatoon. In the West Division, Okotoks beat Lethbridge 7-4, and Sylvan Lake beat Brooks 4-0. So the Dogs and Gulls lead those series 1-0. Okay, so to what a lot of you came here for today, CFL talk. Darren and my picks will push the next hour just to keep you all entertained and hooked in for the next hour. But tonight, Week 10 kicks off. Saskatchewan Roughriders at Ottawa Red Blacks. I don't know if you get the CFL game now or not, Darren, but I sat up this morning after a workout here, by the way, at Gotsa League Athletic Performance, and it was fantastic. Then I read the game notes. There were some interesting things. We won't get to all the Week 4 picks, but maybe yours and my pick we can do tonight. Some of the game notes are this. If Saskatchewan win, they'll go to 6-3. They haven't had a record this good at the halfway mark in 10 years. If they win, they'll be 6-3 after tonight. But I don't think they're going to win. 2, Drew Brown, the quarterback for Ottawa, Darren. There's only been one quarterback in history of Ottawa football that's had a better start to his career, and his name's Tom Clement. I don't know if that name means anything to you, but it means a lot to the longtime CFL fans. Tom Clemens was the man. Okay? He started 6-1 with the Ottawa Roughriders. Drew Brown's next at 5-3. You see why this guy was the most coveted offseason free agent. Because look what he's done. Look what he's done. Our quarterback, that's why they get all the money, Darren. That's why they get all the money. So, and that's already at 5-2. If he goes to 6-2, he still won't match Tom Clemens, but it's still pretty damn good. I think Ottawa's going to win tonight. They're favored by 4.5 now at covers.com, and part of that's because Trevor Harris isn't playing. Who do you think wins tonight?
I think this is going to be a heck of a game, and this is going to be really close, and you're going to need to be watching tonight. And I'm hoping that I can catch the game late tonight or catch a replay of it. You got 2 of the, coaches that are easy to root for, and Corey Mace and Bob Dice, both having success, early on, both trying to, for Corey Mace, as you just said, trying to set the Riders' best record, best start to a season in a decade. And, Bob Dice has already done that, best start in Ottawa history, I believe. And Drew Brown doing his thing. I think it's going to be fun, but I'm going with Ottawa tonight. I just think, with Drew Brown, their starting quarterback, all the pieces are there. They're playing well. I'm going with Ottawa.
So that's 2 of us. Just the 2 of us. We've got Ottawa to win tonight. I can just watch as much of it as I can. Meeting Mike and Joanne Lee at the Crush Can Rec Room, restaurant, clubhouse, nightclub, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to the game to broadcast it tonight. So we'll be watching it as much as we can. Ottawa, Saskatchewan tonight. Now to the poll question. And listen, I get it. This is not my poll question. I'll take the bullet for it if I must. But the poll question is, will Saskatchewan head coach Corey Mace be on the hot seat if Saskatchewan loses at Ottawa tonight? Now, 86% on Twitter said no. Clark, what are they saying on YouTube? Pretty much the same thing. 80% saying no, he won't be on the hot seat. And to the degree that people were writing us back going, why would he be on the hot seat? And I'm like, do you live in Saskatchewan? Do you you don't need to have logic. I mean, they were already lighting his ass on fire last week when they lost to Edmonton. What do you think it's going to be like to? They love you, win or tie in Saskatchewan. They love you, win or tie. So it doesn't matter the reasons. If they lose, he's going to be on the hot seat. Now, there's two different ways to look at it. From the fans, he's going to be, okay? He will. And Darren, you feel free to disagree or agree, whatever. As far as his bosses go, I have no idea what they think. And even as high up as it goes with the board, they're not running it the way I think it should be. So who knows what they're thinking? But it's a multi-year contract. He's not going to be on hot seat with his bosses, no matter what, if they lose. But with the fans, he will. And there is a difference. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there is, going to be a little bit of that pressure. But, I'm seeing a section of fans. There's a couple of sections, and there's a small section of fans that are giving Corey Mace a pass, and they're showing up in our comments, and they're putting the blame to management. And they're giving Corey a pass saying, well, if he loses, it's because they didn't get him good enough backup quarterback. They didn't get him good enough player, which is probably pretty fair. I mean, this is the first season for Corey Mace, done pretty well. He's trying to, get them off to their best start in a decade. I don't think he deserves to be in the hot seat, but I'm with you. The fans don't really care how long you've been there, and they don't care what kind of your plan is for a rebuild. They want you to win every single week. And when you don't win, and when you don't win consistently, they're going to get upset. So I think there will be, he'll be on the hot seat with the fans. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. That's why you've been living in Toronto now long enough, like with the Leafs fans. That's why I significantly and sincerely said, do Leafs fans know hockey? You know hockey. Clark knows hockey. You guys do. But I wonder if the average Leaf fan does. And the reason I say that is Flames fans in Calgary, you can't snow them. You can't snow them. Saskatchewan Roughriders fans, are they crazy? Yes. Are they stupid? No. They know. Okay, they know. So if they want to, get upset at the management because they didn't support Corey Mace, they would be right. They would be right. And to say that he's in the hot seat with the fans, that not every fan feels the same way. There's just people that will want him fired if they lose tonight, because that'll be 4 losses in 5 games. Not saying it's right, but that will be the case, right? So, I am full. Look, a comment came in here on the text line, 902-518-3033, when I said the negativity of the media turned me off the Olympics. This guy, Bradley in Calgary, writes in, he says, you help spread negativity about the Olympics, spreading a lie that a woman boxer was born male when she wasn't. Bro, I didn't even know this person existed until the Olympics, this in-question boxer, okay? So I was going by what the media told me. Read my lips. I'm very lucky that I'm in a position in life that I've got a whole secondary career ready to go. I get fired tomorrow, I'm good. So that's why I'm okay to go on the air here and give you the truth every day. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Y'all get mad at me for saying the truth when I'm actually doing you a favor, and they all get pissed off. The point is, it would be nice to be able to believe the media. But I believe this report that was actually a man boxing the woman from Italy, because that's what I read. How the hell would I know? I wasn't in there checking her gender. Do you see it's important that you can believe what people are telling you. You can believe what I'm telling you, but people don't like to hear it. So anyways, that's my whole point with this. And you never know what you're getting with a lot of the media. That's all that I'm saying. And with the Riders here, if they lose tonight, Corey Mace wasn't given the tools to succeed. And I told you that was going to be the case. You all got mad. And you're bitter. Get over it. It's sour grape. The truth, you don't want to hear it. We'll be right back. It's the warm-up. We got a lot to get to with some great NFL stuff and hockey stuff and the ever-popular randoms. We're live on Game Plus Television, Key Radio, live streaming on YouTube as always, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/ht.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
We got a hot one on the go today, everybody, and we're brought to you in part by Saskatoon's Battle for Recovery. Join award-winning recovery speakers like singer Shaylin Fox, podcaster Daniel Hearn, Dr. Wendy Gore-Hickman, and Hall of Fame broadcaster and sober coach Rod Pedersen at TCU Place in Saskatoon as we celebrate recovery and share experiences from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday, August 30th. For tickets, go to empowertorecover.com. That's the number 2, empowertorecover.com. Okay, Moose, we have, as we trudge along here, we have breaking news. The Toronto Argonauts have announced Nick Fatty Arbuckle will start at quarterback on Friday night when the Argonauts host the Calgary Stampeders Friday night at BMO Field. That's one thing. I'm just going to dip in on some of the comments here and then get to a few other things and then come back to CFL football. Taylor in Calgary says the Stampeders are going to surprise everybody and win the West. Go Stampeders! Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Corey Mace's job certainly isn't in jeopardy yet, but the nation will be lighting torches if they lose. Scott in Vancouver says that record for the Riders is surprising everyone. Nobody expected that start. Yeah, 5-3. Carlos in Indianapolis says, and there's today's Rod's rant.
How about that?
The Barflies of Winnipeg says, yes, it is Clements, and no, he and John Hufnagel duo couldn't win the big one. I'm going to say Tom Clements and John Hufnagel both went on to coach in the NFL. Clements, really big deal in the CFL. I don't know if you remember him or not, Darren,
but he coached with the Packers. But he might still be with the Packers, actually. Won Super Bowls with the Packers as the offensive coordinator. And Hufnagel, obviously, with the Giants and the Patriots. It's funny, by the way. You watched Man in the Arena on Tom Brady. Did you see the cameo by John Hufnagel in the Man in the Arena on Tom Brady? You saw that? Yeah. Well, it's funny because it was from 20 years ago. It was a still photo of Hufnagel and Tom Brady sitting on the grass in Foxborough at a practice. And I brought that up to Huff. I said, Huff, I saw you in the with Tom Brady. He laughed, and he's like, I don't even look like that anymore. I don't even look like that. How'd you know? And I was like, I've been watching you since I was in grade 2. I know who John Hufnagel is.
How about that?
White hair or not. He's a pretty distinctive looking guy, you know. Hey, Moose, before we jump back to the CFL-related things, and 902-518-3033 is the number to text the program. Darcy in Grand Prairie says, aren't the Riders tied for first, playing mostly with a backup quarterback? Ridiculous. Corey Mace isn't going anywhere. Again, it's a double entendre, I guess. It depends on who's lighting up the hot seat. Is it the fans or his bosses? No, we don't think he's going to be fired, but they were ticked last week. By the way, I didn't come up with the question. And the person that did in our circle doesn't want to be identified because he's afraid to. Why is he afraid to, Darren?
You know, because the question is a legit question. It's a fun poll question to take the temperature. But at the same time, like, we don't mean to disrespect Corey Mace, and by no means are we sitting here saying he should be on the hot seat. He shouldn't be. He's doing a great job.
No.
And we had, said from the beginning, you can't expect the team to, the last couple of seasons they had to go straight to first place. They're ahead of schedule. It's going to take a couple of seasons for them to be a real contender for the Grey Cup, but they're ahead of schedule. So, everything's good, but fans can't pull back and see perspective. And it's not their fault, but sometimes you can't pull back. And you talked about Leaf fans. They're bad for it too. They know the game, but the second the team struggles and isn't playing as good as Boston or isn't playing as good as the Oilers, they think the coach has to be fired. And they don't realize the coach has a good body of work. The coach isn't the problem, and every team loses a few games, but fans are irrational a lot of times.
Yeah, well, I will say this, incredibly grateful to spend a generation as the voice of the Rough Riders because it's a big deal. And nobody will even snicker or roll their eyes. It's like the Leafs. It's like the Yankees. It's like the Cowboys. And it's funny because the people that have never been with one of those franchises, I think you call them national franchises, they always want to be. Like, for instance, Ryan Getzlaff told me once we did a dinner, he goes, I would have always liked to have played in Canada, but I never got a chance. Well, how bad did you want to? You could have. You were a free agent on your last deal. You could have. I'll say this about, there's a niceness to not being in that spotlight. In like Florida with the Panthers, Paul Maurice can walk down the street and really nobody knows who he is. You think he could do that in Winnipeg? Probably never left his house. Like Sheldon Keefe doesn't, or Troy Aikman couldn't. You know what I mean? Like there's something to that. So, NFL, the debate about whether the NFL will expand the regular season once again seems to have been resolved, and now it's just a matter of time before the NFL goes to an 18-game regular season. Commissioner Roger Goodell has talked openly about it. Union Chief Lloyd Howell recently told the Washington Post that the Players Association is open to doing it before the current CBA expires at the end of the 2030 season. Players seem resigned to the inevitability, no matter how they might personally feel. The bigger question now might be what concessions can players get to agree to a longer season. I'll say this again, back in the Tom Clemens era, it was in the CFL, it was an 18-game regular, it was a 16-game regular season in the CFL then. And the CFL, whoever they were, because I was just a wee lad, I don't know who was running the CFL at that time. Somebody tell me. My guess is the Hugh Campbells, the Normie Kwongs, the guys that I heard about that I got to meet some of them, but not all of them. They said 4 preseason games too long. Let's go to 2 preseason games, 18 regular season. Nobody batted an eye. 40 years later, the NFL's finally going to do it. I really wonder what took so long. If it's all about making money, why do you think, Darren, that this is nobody's standing in the way of it? What do you think about this story?
Yeah, it's something I've learned getting into this business. As a kid, you're just in love with the game and you think, man, the game. And if I was in a pro, I'd put in so much work in the off season because it's about winning and, and being ready and who's going to do the extra things and get the off season workouts going. And you get older and you realize it's a business and this is a workplace and there's a workers union and there's there's the employer. And, you talk about concessions, like I've heard load management's going to maybe creep into the NFL and you won't see players playing every game necessarily with 18 games. But if you're going to ask me to play more football, then you got to pay me more money. If there's more money coming into the league, then the salary cap's got to go up. Is this going to shorten the off-season workouts? Because you're asking me to play in a physical aspect, an extra week. So maybe I got less training camp. And there's all that has to go into it. It's like, hey, Rod, if I want you to work overtime, you're going to say, okay, great. But then I want Tuesday and Wednesday off if I got to come in on the weekend. That's the negotiations that are going on when it comes to extending the season.
It's really funny you say that because you couldn't be more correct. And it's like, oh, we need to talk about this. We need to examine it 87 different ways. And we need to have a meeting to talk about the meeting to have a meeting. When it really doesn't need to be that big a deal. Are we doing it? Yeah, let's do it. That's the way I do things. Rightly or wrongly, that's the way I do things. And I see what you're saying, but it's like there's going to be this much more money to be made. Let's do it. And because the preseasons have evolved to a point now, too, where nobody's going. Nobody cares except the real diehards. They're not making money off it. Nobody's watching it on television except for the local markets. So, again, why did it take so long? And I'll say this as well. Scott Ford's watching in Toronto, and he says, Jake Goddard was the CFL commissioner back then. I had an old CFL football in the 80s that my brothers and I used to throw around that had Jake Goddard's signature on it. When I got into the CFL, the word from everybody was that this guy's the best commissioner ever in CFL history. Now, they say that Mark Cohan and Jake Goddard were the best commissioners ever. That Jake Goddard must have been something. Stud. Dog. Because he did a lot of great things for the Canadian Football League. And one of those was that, going from a 16-game season to an 18-game season. A visionary. They have an award named after him, the Jake Goddard Veterans Award in the CFL. It's kind of like the NHL's Bill Masterton Trophy. Anyways, enough about all that. Scott writes in, he says, agreed about Paul Maurice. You can be a rock star in Canada or just a regular Joe in the Sun Belt. Some guys don't want to deal with that fishbowl effect. That's the thing. I always laugh. People will say, oh, Rod likes being a big fish in a small pond. No, Rod hated it. Serena and I went to walk around the ledge yesterday. Regina Sask slang here. Hang on. The legislature. Her and I went to walk around the park yesterday, Darren. We got out of the car. I took maybe 10 steps. There was a guy sitting in his car, opens his door. Hey, Pedersen. I turned to Serena and I said, that didn't take long. So it is what it is. And by the way, he was an MLA. I won't say his name or what party. Great guy, but I can't walk 10 steps in that town without somebody in my face. It's a lot to deal with. By the way, on the NFL thing, we're not hearing much out of Nathan Rourke, are we, in Atlanta at all? I texted a football guy in the States this morning, Darren, just to throw this out there, just a topic. Probably spend more time on it tomorrow with Jim Barker, but I said, do you believe there's a Canadian bias against Nathan Rourke in the NFL? The answer, yes. How do we feel about that?
It's a thing. It's definitely it could be a thing. You really want to be sure when you're an NFL executive, when you hand out money, when you put somebody on the roster, and for whatever reason, they're more confident about players who have that American passport, who came up playing football throughout the United States. Now, Nathan did go to college, at Ohio and the Bobcats, and he did his thing and, played U.S. college football. Imagine being a Canadian college quarterback. But you got to build the trust. Now, we still look at his preseason tape that he had in Jacksonville. That builds a lot of trust, but that's not enough. He's got to continue to show it and continue to show it and continue to show it. And patient. He's still young. Eventually, if he stays healthy and buys his time, his opportunity will come. Just don't know how long it'll take.
Maybe not, though, because he's Canadian, according to this U.S. football coach. So I'm just going to say that. And point here, hockey notes. I miss hockey. I see it all the time on social media, and I'm like, yeah, then get in your car and go up to Edmonton and watch the Ivan and Lincoln, the Gretzky and Lincoln tournament, because it's fantastic hockey. You watched a little bit of it last night on TSN. I'm like, you don't miss hockey. You miss the NHL. But I see that you are watching. It was in your column. Seems like you're following the World Under-18s quite a bit. Is that a fact?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure. And I'm watching a little bit of it as well. It is the only thing going on, but it is fun to watch. And the reason we need an interest to watch, and you and I could go to any rink with a coffee and watch hockey and just enjoy watching the game of hockey.
Yeah.
We love the game, but these are the next best players for next year's draft for the most part. Missing the top two guys potentially, but this is the draft eligible guys. So there's a reason to watch, and obviously bragging rights for Canada on the line. So it is a fun tournament in the middle of the summer when there's nothing else going on.
I'm seeing it all over the place from people that I love dearly. I miss hockey. Go watch the World Under-18s because it's fantastic. Oh, you don't want to? You don't miss hockey then. You miss the NHL. There's a big difference. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2.
You bet. See you then.
Blue Jays fans, get your questions and comments in for Mike Wilner from the Deep Left Field podcast. He joins us next live here on the Game Plus television network. We're Canada-wide on Game Plus TV and in 31 U.S. states. Of course, on WQEE Radio in Atlanta, streaming live on YouTube daily, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The WCBL continued to grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, everybody. We're brought to you in part by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Now's the time you should be working on your shooting abilities. Stop in at OT Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast in Cowtown, and book your lane today, where skill and fun collide. Okay, please bring in Mike Wilner from Deep Left Field Podcast. I'm going to read from the CP story. Toronto Blue Jays president and CEO Mark Shapiro says his 9th season at the helm of the Blue Jays has been by far the most disappointing to date, but Shapiro hinted that GM Ross Atkins will get a chance to rebuild the Blue Jays into a contender this offseason. This on the day the Blue Jays blew another one out of the bullpen and lost to the Orioles yesterday. Mike, what did you think about the comments from Mr. Shapiro yesterday?
Well, if you really know what I think, if you really want to know what I think, Rod, and thanks for having me, check out the new episode of Deep Left Field because it is entirely about that, however long availability it was. I want to say 25 minutes, 17 minutes. It was something like that. And I broke it down piece by piece on this new episode, 16 and a half minutes of Mark Shapiro. And really, it was, I mean, he should have done this a lot sooner. I think the president of a club that is having a year as terrible as this one, failing to meet expectations to such a huge extent, I don't think there's a reason for him to have waited until August to talk to the media. This was the first time we talked to him in that sort of setting since spring training. But basically, I think, he's can only say so much. And as much as everybody wanted him to go out there and say, yeah, I'm firing Ross Atkins and I quit myself, by the way, that was never going to happen. So he said what he could say. He gave us a couple of insights, I think, whether he meant to or not, into what he's thinking. He did get testy a couple of times. I don't think he especially likes doing these availabilities with the media, but I don't think there was anything in there that really surprised me.
None of them do. There's a lot of things in life we don't like to do, Mike, and you know this. You know this. So it's part of the job, right? Yeah. Was there anything? Listen, I want to go listen to your podcast now. So it can be found at all podcast platforms, I assume.
Wherever finer podcasts are available, just put Deep Left Field into your phone or go to thestar.com and search Deep Left Field and you'll be right there.
Is it the sense, I'm just a casual Blue Jays fan, the sense I get is that Shapiro and Ross Atkins are sort of tied at the hip kind of thing, a package deal?
Yeah, that's the
sense. Is that the way that it is?
I've always had. Yeah, they came together from Cleveland, where Mark had been at the top first as GM and then as president of that club for about 15 years. And Ross was a player in the Cleveland organization in the late 90s and moved into player development and into farm director and director of player personnel and all that stuff, worked his way up the chain in Cleveland. And Mark thought of him as a terrific general manager prospect and also someone that he knows well and can, I think Shapiro still has his tentacles, for lack of a better word, all over the front office as far as baseball operations are concerned. He's got his hand very much in it. So someone that he knew he could work with that way. It's always felt like they've been joined at the hip. I wondered a little bit last year after that playoff exit and after Atkins' disastrous news conference where he basically, as much as he loves to say he's accountable for everything, he said that was, entirely John Schneider's decision and the controversial one to remove Jose Barrios early. I thought there might have been a chance that Atkins wasn't going to recover from that, but he did. And it's difficult to imagine Shapiro parting ways with Atkins. He talked in that yesterday in that scrum about how much he values stability and consistency. But honestly, I and everyone else who's down there every day just simply believes that you can't be this after 9 years and keep your job as a general manager. You just can't.
I'm with you. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in and he says, our hitting approach has been atrocious for almost 2 years now. I have a conspiracy theory. Don Mattingly is a mole, sabotaging our batters like George Costanza, all while he waits for that Yankee manager position to open up.
How about that?
That might be a little much, but do you think Mattingly ever takes over the Yankees? Do you think he goes back into a managerial role after this stint with the Blue Jays somewhere?
I mean, I think he'd love to, and I think he's widely respected in the game. But I don't think A has anything to do with B. It's always mystified me how much fans are willing to blame coaches for poor performance on the part of players. The Blue Jays haven't had a consistently poor hitting approach for 2 years. I mean, maybe Caleb Joseph says that they have, or something like that on TV. So you're believing that. But the truth of the matter is these hitters are smart and professional ball players, and their livelihood depends on their success. And if they're listening to a coach and doing the things that the coach is telling them to do, and it's leading to a lack of success, they're going to abandon that after like a month or 6 weeks. They're going to say, look, this is what you're telling me. This is what I'm doing. It's absolutely not working. I'm going to go back to doing the things that worked, that made me a great hitter. So, a coach, there's no player that's so scared of a coach that says, all right, I'm doing what you're telling me and it's not working and I'm having the worst years of my life, but I'm going to keep doing it because this is what you're telling me to do. So that's not what's happening at all.
Gotcha. Finish this sentence for me, please, Mike. It's the last question I have for you. The Blue Jays were the most disappointing team in the majors. Now, wait a minute. The White Sox probably are, but the Blue Jays are the most disappointing team in the AL East this season because blank.
Because, I mean, there's not one thing. It's because going back to this winter, the front office did not address the glaring needs that this offense had in the offseason. It's the fact that after seeing them struggle to hit so much last year, they decided not to go out and get the 2 power bats that they needed, but instead to double down on the pitching and defense that got them to have such a hard time with the offense last year. They depended far too much on internal improvements that didn't happen. Then once the season happened, they didn't hit for 2 months, and then the bullpen that was already hurt and on its last legs by Victoria Day got even more hurt, and they had to use a bunch of pitchers who just weren't up to the task, and they went from requiring 4 runs to win a game to requiring 10 runs to win a game, and that's just not possible. And then 2 weeks ago they pulled the chute. So it's all about the kids now, and this team that everyone whose job it is to predict baseball in the preseason, this team that every one of those people thought was going to make the playoffs is going to finish in last place.
Gotcha. Mike, you do a great job, and you always have. Thanks for this. Everybody go to Deep Left Field Podcast for Mike's breakdown of Mark Shapiro's media availability yesterday, and enjoy the rest of the season, Mike.
Thank you, Rod.
All right, Blue Jays podcaster and columnist Mike Wilner. Wilnerness. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. We got a whole other hour coming up after this, by the way, and Bryn Griffiths, Mighty Mouth, will join us from Edmonton in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus, WQEE Radio, live streaming on YouTube daily, and of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Professional basketball is back in Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Rattlers are heating up. Catch them live at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon from May through August. The team is packed with high-caliber talent from the NBA, NCAA, and professional leagues around the world, with a head coach straight from the LA Clippers. Secure your seats now on Ticketmaster, starting at just $20. See you in the snake pit.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now back to the studio with Rod.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hope everybody's having as much fun as I am today, and thank you for the audience participation. It's a great day. Great show put together by producer Clark Monroe. Clark.
How about that?
Great guess. We always like Mike Wilner, especially. The Barflies writes in from Winnipeg. He says, how does Ross Atkins still have his job? Team has regressed under his reign. Should have kept Gurriel, Moreno, and Hernandez. I'll tell you something. When it comes to that, it's a really good question. But when you've got a guy at the top in Shapiro meddling and tentacles all over everything, like Mike Wilner just said, all Ross Atkins it sounds like is a puppet. So how could you fire Ross Atkins? He's just doing the bidding of the guy above him. That's what I see. And that's what happens in dysfunctional organizations. And it sounds like the Blue Jays are dysfunctional. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in. That's a great baseball town. He says, the Blue Jays have a bunch of players with a history of not performing well enough to make the team consistently competitive. Let's place the blame where it really belongs. Say it! Say it! Usually you would fire the coach in that respect, the manager. So you want to fire another manager? John Schneider does look like a very dejected guy, though, doesn't he? The manager of the Blue Jays. When you're in a dysfunctional organization, it's dejecting. Been there. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta says, what exactly is Don Mattingly's job? He's the batting coach, right, Clark? Mattingly's the batting coach. Jeff Pete Walker's the pitching coach. Mattingly's the batting coach. Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and says, are the Jays really that disappointing? I didn't want to say this to Mike Wilner, but I get my baseball coverage from USA Today for a couple of reasons. Most notably, I think they know the most about baseball. And secondly, they're not Jays homer. And they've said in the most recent, it was at the halfway mark of the All-Star season, they did this halfway thing in the majors, and they said the Blue Jays are the most disappointing team in the majors. Now, at that time, the White Sox hadn't lost 21 games in a row, which they have since. But until the All-Star break, the Blue Jays were the most disappointing team. And it's not like they've exactly pulled themselves out of it either. From Silent 306, he writes in, Silent 306. He says, Rod, I was doing the Red Sox Miller Express play-by-play last night. Wanted to say thank you for coming up to the booth and introduce yourself. Good luck with the game tonight. Well, thank you for saying thank you. And I enjoyed your call last night very much. Maybe it's because the Millers won. I don't know. But thank you for writing in and saying that. I appreciate it. With regards to the commissioner in charge of the CFL, when it went from 16 games to 18 40 years ago, and now the NFL is finally going to do it. Kevin in Edmonton writes in and he says, it was Doug Mitchell as the CFL commissioner in 1986, expanding the season to 18 games. Thank you. It was only 40 years ago. Thank you for the clarification. From Kirk in Tirana, hi, Rod. Jake Goddard was the GOAT of CFL commissioners. The league could sure use one now. A quick sports update. Toronto's new WNBA team is asking fans from across Canada to share ideas for everything from the team's name to its colors and identity. A group of designers and advisors will then review the contributions to develop a short list of options. The final name will be chosen by team and league leadership by the end of the year. The expansion franchise begins play in 2026. Let's have some fun with that next hour. Hey, and defeat boring Sundays. Every Sunday, kids can get out of the house and score a movie ticket and snack pack for one great low price. Every movie, every Sunday. Landmark Cinema's Kids Day. Turn the average Sunday into a movie-filled fun day. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes. Some conditions apply. Children must be 13 and under with valid ID. Valid for new movie releases only. Hour 2 coming up after this brief pause. Smoke him if you got him. Right back after this.
Right on.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
No!
Can't remember my roommate's name, but we couldn't get into our room, and 2 exotic dancers came down the hallway and said, "Here you go, let us give you a hand with that."
How about that?
I was 16. It was like, whoa. Mandy at Edmonton has checked in, by the way. She says, flashback. I did find glitter around an ex's house all the way into the bedroom. Now you know. No charge.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. It is episode number 1,312 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. It's Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. That's a for sure. On Game Plus TV and, of course, Key Radio in Atlanta. For whatever reason, they keep putting us on the air there. They enjoy us, they say, and streaming live on YouTube daily. I'm here in the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Let's bring in Moose. There's a lot of things going on. It's in my commentary today. Canada is a winter sport country, but our summer sports are really cool. And the Summer Olympics are going on. That was where we began an hour ago. Moose, do you have an Olympic update? You've had a 20-minute break. What's going on in the Olympics in Paris right now?
Yeah, not much. It's pretty quiet, but nothing to take away from indoor cycling. You know, they go around the track and they got the speed racer helmets on. That's what's on right now, and I didn't see any Canadians in the field.
Okay, gotcha. Having fun with everybody for sure. Talking CFL football, we're going to be talking NFL football, Olympics, obviously. A lot of baseball talk going on. It was a wild night in the opening night of the Western Canadian Baseball League playoffs. And I'll say this, our Moose Jaw Millers won in Regina 4-3. We go for a sweep here tonight. I'll be broadcasting the game tonight with Serena at Roswell's Park. Saskatoon won at Medicine Hat. They're going for a sweep tonight. And the home teams won in Alberta. Game night in the Canadian Football League.
Week 10 kicks off with the Ottawa Redblacks home to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Dude, have you looked at our Twitter mentions in the last 20 minutes? Have you? Have you?
I've seen a couple of notifications pop up, but not in the last 20 minutes. I haven't looked.
So the poll question, just so you know, everybody, the poll question is, will Saskatchewan head coach Corey Mace be on the hot seat if the Rough Riders lose at Ottawa tonight? Which, by the way, they're starting their backup quarterback again. Ottawa's favored by 4.5, so they're probably going to lose. And here's the thing. It's going wild. 86% are saying no, but that's clickbait. What a stupid question. What moron came up with this? What kind of question is that? It is all I can do. It's taking a team of horses to pull me back from saying where this question came from and who said it. I won't say it. This is like Front Page Challenge. You're not old enough to remember Front Page Challenge, but it's like, Darren, just give a clue, because I don't want to say it. They'll guess.
No clues.
They would give clues. They would give clues back in the day. Our mystery guest is, he was the top columnist in the Globe and Mail in 1947. You know what I mean? Give a clue. Because I don't want to ruin it. But it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't you, me, or Clark. It wasn't you, me, or Clark. It wasn't you, me, or Clark.
This is a great challenge for me because, like, the first clues that are coming to mind will be dead giveaways. Okay?
Yeah. That's why I didn't want to do it.
Currently works in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah. Ooh, you're good.
How's
That's
that?
only like at least 1,000 people. They'll never. That's
Yeah.
fine. It's good. But it wasn't me, Clark, or Darren, and he currently works in the Canadian Football League. He came up with this question today. He said, we're like, hey, he was part of our morning call, just for fun. And that's all we'll say. And he said,
that's 3 clues now.
He works in the Canadian Football League. He was on our morning call.
It's a he.
It's a he.
Yeah.
Exactly. That eliminates half the population. Oh. So don't come at us. And the other thing, by the way.
I feel like we're playing a game of Guess Who, you know, putting down the little pieces.
I know.
Does she have
front page
glasses?
The old people like me will get that. And I want to say Pierre Burton hosted it. Probably means nothing to you, right? It's like Peter Zosky. Means nothing to you. These legendary Canadian broadcasters and game show hosts that nobody remembers anymore. There's such a message in that, too. But anyways, well, of course, Wayne of Victoria, BC writes in and he says, I remember Front Page Challenge. I love that show. I learned a lot from that show. The difference is, by the way, Darren, it's a little like The Voice in that at the end of the show, they would spin the chair around and the guy would be sitting in the chair, the answer to all those clues. Today, we're not going to be spinning the chair around. We're not going to be doing that. But, this guy, Darshan, he's a big BC Lions fan, and he was just like, what kind of stupid question is that? So I wrote back to him. You shouldn't respond, but I did. I said, have you ever lived here? There doesn't need to be logic as to why the coach would be on the hot seat. It just is. And as I said, he'll be on the hot seat if they lose or when they lose tonight from the fans. Guaranteed. Darren and I both picked. No, people are writing in saying, did we miss your CFL picks? No, we're going to get to that here right away. But he's going to be on the hot seat no matter what. And I said, Rider fans are crazy. To me, that's not an insult. I'm probably crazy, and I think I'm fine. So, and you know what I mean? I said they're not stupid. Rider fans aren't stupid. They are crazy. Darren, have you ever dated a crazy chick who's not dumb, but crazy? Like, usually hot goes along with it. They're not dumb. They're very smart, but crazy. Of course you have.
Dangerous.
You don't want to go any further. We're not going to name names. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
He's dated a few crazy ones. The Barflies writes in and says, Pierre Burton was on the panel, no? Okay, maybe he was, dude. It was 50 years ago. From what I remember, it was black and white, for the love of God. Okay, from the Rough Rider, who I believe is in the Calgary area, says, I slept in. I probably missed the picks, LOL. Who did you pick for the CFL game? Okay, brought to you by Covers.com, our official betting partner, Covers.com. Here's your point spreads. Well, first of all, Darren and I both picked Ottawa to win tonight. They are favored by 4.5. So far this season, I've got 21 correct picks. Darren has 16. And we're at the halfway point of the season, I might add. Calgary at Toronto, Friday night. It was learned today, Nick Fatty Arbuckle will start at quarterback for the Argonauts tonight, Friday night. Argos favored by 2.5. Who you got?
I'm going to go with the Argos to rebound and win this one on the weekend. So,
Me too. Calgary's winless on the road. I expect that trend to continue. Saturday, Hamilton at Montreal. The Alouettes are favored by 7.5. Who do you like?
I got to go with Montreal. I got burned last week, so I'll take them.
Okay. And I think this might be the rub. The BC Lions at the Edmonton Elcamos. Edmonton's favored by 2-0. That's by 2.0 on Sunday. BC at Edmonton. Elcamo is favored by 2.
Yeah, I'm taking Edmonton. Isn't that the CFL, man? They're in last in the division. BC's in first, but yet Edmonton's favored to win the football game.
Okay, I'm taking BC. And I legit think they will because I'm a Jake Dolegala fan. Jake Dolegala, the 6'8" starting quarterback for the BC Lions. Darren, I'll say it again. Your mom could quarterback BC to beat Edmonton, but you've got Edmonton picked to win the game on Sunday, so that's a good thing. I could pull a Barney Rubble and be a real jerk and just pick all the same picks as you the rest of the season and win. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do. I'll put in my 2 cents. Ding. Did you ever see that Flintstones episode? Barney was playing
I love this.
Let's Make a Deal or whatever the hell that show was. What's the one, Clark, the ba-ba-ba-ba. You have the sound effect.
Price is Right.
Price is Right. Yeah, can you play that? I'll put in my 2 cents. Ding. 2 cents. No. Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and says, a Rider fan living in Calgary? Unheard of. LOL. I'll say this, by the way. Serena Dawn is here in Moose Jaw. So we're staying in a hotel. And we're enjoying it. And there's a lot of, when I say there's a lot of Rider fans there always are. But my point is I'm seeing a lot of gear. And I'm seeing new gear. And that's what marketing does. I'm seeing this obsidian green a lot around here. You're not here. You're in Toronto. It's this new green. The marketing department, whoever was responsible for these obsidian green jerseys and the hats, all the gear that goes with it, not just the jerseys, but the hats and the golf shirts, it's nice. It's almost got me wanting to pick some up. And there was a lot of it in Alberta. There was a lot of it in Okotoks when I was there for the WCBL All-Star Game a couple weeks ago. Bravo, Riders. You did a great job with the obsidian green. I'm seeing it everywhere. Terry in Calgary, Terry the lawyer, says the host was Fred Davis. Okay, I just seem to remember Pierre Burton on there. I also remember coming home from lunch and watching the CTV News, and Keith Morrison was delivering it. The Keith Morrison. It was a quiet night in Pleasantdale, Nebraska. Or was it? Remember Dateline? You don't watch Dateline, though. Or was it?
No. But I know it, and I've seen enough of it.
Right. It's 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
Beautiful.
Boy, we're having fun today. That's a hot one, Barney. We're having a great show today. I don't know why. That's probably
2
because
cents.
Serena's in town. That's what it is. Well, I'll put in my 2 cents. Ding! 2 cents. How about Scott Ford in Toronto writes in, and he says, so was Finnegan from the Friendly Giant. He never missed on geopolitics. Casey and Finnegan. Did you watch the Friendly Giant? As we sit here and talk about Canadian children's shows.
Look up. Way up.
We had a guy way up. And Rusty the Giraffe. But we had a kid in our class named Casey. Every single day, people would say to him, hey, Casey, where's Finnegan? I'm surprised he didn't snap and go postal. I met Mr. Dressup one time. I have a picture of it, actually. I might bring it in here tomorrow.
Wow.
Ernie Coombs. Yeah. By the way, total squirrel moment, which is why people love this. I was making a note in my notes. Before these things called cellular phones, Darren, I used to actually carry around a notepad with me in my shirt pocket. I was that guy to make notes. And now I just put them in my phone. I was that guy. I was like Etch. And when I looked at my notes, I saw that. How many teams every year do you think on average are new in the NFL playoffs? How many teams that missed the year before make it the next year in the NFL? A number. How many? It would blow your mind.
I was going to say,
I got this on the weekend from
9.
6. 6. Okay. But that's a lot. You know?
Yeah, I was going to say 9. That might be everybody.
And that's a great thing. That's a great thing because if you went back and looked at the NHL, I feel like there isn't nearly as many new teams that make it in the playoffs every year. Like 4 at the absolute most. I'd have to go back and look. And I think it's good because there's 32 teams in the NHL. There's 32 teams in the NFL. It's kind of comparable. But to sit back and guess as to who it would be, pert near impossible. Don't you think? Like your Titans couldn't have made it last year. Your Titans couldn't.
No,
your Titans
didn't.
were hot garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're now projected to, be last in the division and, they're all the rest. But you look at those wild card teams, there's a handful of teams that are just one win away from the playoffs. And, they might not get that close next year or they might be top of the division. It's really hard to predict because in the NFL, I mean, the NHL a little bit too, but in the NFL, I feel like more than any other league, rookies come into that league and have success on a level and impact teams more than other leagues. Like Connor Bedard comes in and has a great year, but he's not putting the Blackhawks into the playoffs. Caleb Williams makes Chicago a playoff team, and some of these other rookies can come in and do some really great things. So that's why it can change so quickly.
I feel like we're going to push this over into the next segment because we have less than a minute left in this segment, and we've started something. Number 1, Robin in Prince Albert says, Casey and Finnegan is Mr. Dressup, not the Friendly Giant. Okay, bro. Again, it was only 40 years ago, so chill out. And that's why I brought up that I met Mr. Dressup one day in the lobby of CFSL Radio in Weyburn. I had a mullet. I have the photo. I'll post it tomorrow.
Oh,
Darren,
no.
when I was like 17, I met Mr. Dressup. It was like thrill of a lifetime. And that was another great television show. BW in Edmonton writes in and he says, Wikipedia has the entire cast from Front Page Challenge. Wow. Went off the air in 1995. Come on. On the CBC? That's when I stopped watching the CBC, I think. Scott White in Vancouver writes in. He says, does anyone trust the New York Jets offense? Robert Saleh does, their head coach. So, listen, take a break. Go to the big board if you must. Let's take a look at last year's NFL playoff field and say, now with the knowledge that on average 6 new teams will make the playoffs, let's talk about who they might be. The Week 10 CFL games and whatever else
you all would like to talk about. A little later on, Bryn Griffiths, Mighty Mouth, will join us here on the program. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, our radio partner in Atlanta, 99.1 FM. Live streaming on YouTube daily, and of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, we're back, everybody. We are so back. CFL fans, join us for the second annual Labor Day Golf Classic at Aspen Links in Regina, hosted by the RP Show. That's me going to be hosting it. It's your chance to golf with your choice of Rough Riders and Blue Bombers alumni. DM us for details. And I'm telling you, you can bring the Moose in. If you'd like more details, when I say your choice, we're going to have a draft the night before at Baller's Rec Room, and I'll be the commissioner. So all the best Riders and Bombers alumni are going to be there, and then you can pick who you'd like to golf with in the draft. So I think it's just going to be big fun. From what I'm hearing, Darian Durant. Darian. Obviously, Andrew Green. All those kinds of guys, Moose. It's going to be big fun. Did you take a second? I did not mean to start a holy war here. And by the way, this was not my poll question. Like, there's people standing back now throwing haymakers about how could they lose tonight? Blah, 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 blah. The one guy is a BC Lions fan from Vancouver. I'm like, bro, you've never lived here for a day. You don't understand. And don't compare it to the Vancouver Canucks because it's not the same. It's not the same. Darren, they're going off. And it's not Naylor. Just so you know, it's not Naylor. It was somebody. Here's Darren's clues. Blues clues. He works in the CFL. It was his question. And Clark can verify because Clark was in the meeting. We said, hey, why don't you pick our question today? You're not part of this group. And he goes, well, Corey Mace be on the hot seat if the Riders lose in Ottawa tonight. And we're like, ooh. And people are just going off the hook. But this is like your clue. 1997, news conference at Taylor Field in the President's Lounge. The CFL's Saskatchewan Roughriders were announcing a $500,000 loan from an anonymous source. Darren, you were 10. Like, you will probably don't remember. This actually happened. And I was sitting 15 feet from Tom Shepard, the president of the Riders, or whatever the hell he was at the time, Friends of the Riders touchdown lottery. And we're all like, oh, I'm the up-and-coming reporter at CKRM. I wasn't even the voice of the Riders yet. The news conference, like all of them back then, was packed. Fans used to be able to come to the news conferences, by the way. They shut that down in the 2000s after the incident. We're having a news conference today to announce an anonymous donor has donated $500,000 to each CFL team. Well, Darren, we were going out of our cotton-picking minds trying to figure out who this anonymous donor, who would donate $500,000 to each CFL team to keep it alive back in 1997. So we're like, Tom Shepard, Tom, can you give us a hint? Tom goes, yes, it's in this universe. That was Tom's hint. Do you know, by the way, who it turned out to be? Do you know who it turned out to be?
Who?
Does anybody want to take a guess at who it turned out to be?
What year?
1997. I said it like twice.
97. I don't know. Wayne
You
Gretzky
can
do
think
it?
on it for a while. No, is the answer Jesus?
Yeah.
No, but close. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, was it Braley? Keep him coming, everybody. Keep him coming. With regards to those children's shows and all the other really weird things we've got going on today, Taylor in Calgary says, with Fatty Arbuckle starting, I like Calgary's chances Friday night. Jeff, the Stamps fan, laughs at thrill of a lifetime. Darren, this was like the Make-A-Wish Foundation long before there was a Make-A-Wish Foundation, and it wasn't for sick kids. It was, if we randomly draw your name, you can enter our game show, and we will fulfill your thrill of a lifetime. What's your biggest thing? Well, I was 9 when this show was on, and the host of it, his name was John Davidson. What do you think my guess was? I'll save you the time. I wanted to be the starting goaltender for the Regina Pats. You can't, Rod. You're only 9. I don't care. They said, what's your thrill of a lifetime? That's mine. Being the goalie for the Regina Pats. That's what I wanted when I was 9. But they never picked my number. Tony in Cochrane says, good old black and white children's TV shows. Yep. And Tony goes on to say, Captain Kangaroo for you Americans. That guy freaked me out. Do you remember Captain Kangaroo at all?
No, I missed out on Captain Kangaroo.
That guy freaked me out. He just freaked me out.
902-518-3033. Okay, we got a lot of. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in and says, John Candy? Hey, Rob Carney's watching. Carnes. He says Fred Davis hosted Front Page Challenge. Carnes, you're welcome. Rob Carney is the morning man on 800 CHAB here in Moose Jaw. And as I said to my business manager, Joe, which I'm hanging out with this summer, we agreed. Rob Carney was the man. The MFing man.
How about
back
that?
in the day? He was. And in a lot of ways still is the man. From Vintage Sasko, he writes in and says, in 1997, it was the deplorable and rich NFL. He goes, I was a first-year season ticket holder that year. Rick Sawatsky in Martinsville writes in and says, it was the NFL that gave them the money. From Metal Shingle Guy in Regina writes in, it was the NFL. So, yeah. Carlos in Indianapolis says, was it the NFL? Yes, it was the NFL. And there was a receiver with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, by the way. Do you remember the name Gerald Wilcox?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a stud Canadian receiver for the Blue Bombers. I remember the quote on this when it became Shepard's secret wasn't a secret for long. It's in this universe. No, it was the NFL. I don't know who broke that story. I really don't. Probably Marty York. And I remember Gerald Wilcox saying, I think I might have did the interview with him a long time ago. He goes, $500,000 per CFL team for the NFL is akin to me taking my kid to 7-Eleven and buying them Slurpees. It's nothing. And that was in 1997. And that was just to keep the CFL alive. And all I can think, Darren, is that the CFL can't be in that much trouble now and never was, even probably during COVID. Because if they were willing to take a loan back then, which we suckers in Sask actually paid back. Most teams didn't even pay it back. They must be doing fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you haven't gone that far. Like, we haven't been to the point where we have to have the telethons again or have our hands out. Yes, say, we asked the Canadian government for money during COVID, but we didn't go ask the NFL. And I think if push came to shove, the NFL would do it again because it's good to have the Canadian Football League as a viable entity and keep it operating.
Yeah. Ali checking in from Texarkana. Nice of her to do so. She says, happy Thursday, RP and squad. It's been a busy day for me. Just now getting to check in. Good to see you, Ali. To be honest, you haven't missed much, especially if you're an American, as we talk about Canadian children's television shows from the 70s and 80s. And game shows you weren't even watching. So Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, mullet rod? I have a skullet now myself. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I had a mullet. We all had a mullet. We all had a mullet back then. On all these topics, by the way, and by the way, the mullets have come back. I tried to get one about 10 years ago, and my hairstylist said no. I said, I'm paying you. Give me a mullet. She goes, no. Go somewhere else then. Okay.
And now everybody gets.
Yeah, now it's back in style. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments here from the viewers. Wilf in Steinbach, can you please proofread your text you just said? I don't understand what you're saying. Wilf in Steinbach, currently watching on Game Plus television. Let me ask you, yeah. Right, Allie wouldn't know who Mr. Dress-Up is, so no, she wouldn't know. His name was Mr. Dress-Up, and he pulled outfits out of what he called the tickle trunk, which became like Canadian vernacular. The tickle trunk. Does anybody else call it the tickle? When you think about it, you'd probably have the guy arrested now. When you think about it.
I know.
And he talked to puppets.
Think about it, social
surrounded
media.
by puppets. What? Oh, he'd be given the business on social media. He'd be canceled. Mr. Dress-Up would be canceled by now. She says, no, I guess I missed that one. Sounds amazing, though. Mr. Dress-Up. was amazing. And when I met him, it was the highlight of my life to my 17 years. And that includes meeting Charlie Pride, Patty Loveless, and Sawyer Brown. At that stage of my life, Mr. Dress-Up trumped them all. She says, did he drive a white van? I'm not sure.
We would have known.
I don't.
Social media would have.
We've gone so, yeah. Jeff, the Stabs fan, says, oh, yeah, Mr. Dress-Up wouldn't work in 2024. What does? Literally, what does work now? Darren, we're so far off the rails. What do you want to say before I let you go?
Well,
I don't even know
push
where
it
to go.
to tomorrow for Football Friday, but I did cram in the break to talk about these NFL teams that are going to make the playoffs and miss the playoffs. But let's save that for tomorrow because that'll be a good discussion. Who do we think is going to be in the playoffs that wasn't last year?
Everybody jumping. Fongo writes in, the Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Los Angeles Sharks. It was the NFL, says Fongo. Yeah. Everybody's got a good memory. But I'll never forget Thomas Arthur Shepard. I was sitting 15 feet from him. Who was it, Tom? And he was like shaking, Shepard, the way he did. Spit coming out of his mouth. It's in this universe. Thanks, Tom. Thanks. That really narrows it down, Tom. By the way, those NFL teams from last year that did make the playoffs, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, LA, Detroit, LA Rams, Detroit, Green Bay, Dallas, Miami, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, Houston. So 2, 4, 6, 12 teams make the playoffs. Half the field is new well, wait a minute. Then there's teams that had a bye. My bad. 16 teams make the playoff. Same as the NHL. Now that you think about it, and like a third of them almost are new every year. That's another thing the NFL does right. They do everything right. And now they're going to 18 games. Okay, Darren, it'll be a fun chat tomorrow. Have a great Toronto afternoon. Have a look at the WhatsApp group, okay? I got something in there for you.
Awesome. I'll get to that.
The Mighty Mouth joins us next. We are live here on the Game Plus Television Network, Key Radio. Also live, of course, streaming on YouTube and in podcast form at Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's a great day to do whatever it is that we're doing today. It's a great day to have a great day. Wayne in BC writes it. He says, this is the greatest sports talk show ever. LOL. Well, we might actually talk about some sports now as we bring in the mighty mouth, Bryn Griffiths. And I'll tell you what, Brynster, I had the great fortune of spending some time with Jeff DeDecker. Jeff DeDecker, your old buddy, last week ago at a fundraiser. So it's good, man. Your name comes up in glowing terms all the time. I'm in Moose Jaw, by the way, for the summer. Not sure if I told you that. Where are you and what's up with you, partner?
I'm in Lake Country, British Columbia. I'm visiting my good cousin, who's like a brother to me, Barry Larson, and we're spending a week out here. Just gorgeous. You won't believe how many NHL people you run into here during the off season. It's crazy.
Oh, those NHL guys like to remain anonymous, so I won't even ask you to name them, Bryn.
Not going to do it.
Yeah, before we go down the CFL road, I see the Oilers. NHL Network has the Oilers picked as the #1 favorite to win the Stanley Cup this year. Florida's #2. I think, I can't even remember who else. They had Dallas, Colorado, and New Jersey in the top 5. Do you see the Oilers as the Stanley Cup favorites coming back?
I see the Stanley Cup favorites coming back should be the Florida Panthers, the defending champs. So I feel until they get beat once or twice during the regular season, they should be the favorites. So I think the Oilers should be 2. It's funny. The last time we chatted was, I think the Oilers were down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup final, and you said, can they come back? Well, they almost did. They're, and they were pretty banged up, as every team is with players during the Stanley Cup run. It's a grind, but I think they should be #2 right now. And a lot depends on whether or not they get Leon Draisaitl all locked up and ready to go. I think that they will, but there's some work to be done. But I think I thought they were a better team, Rod, after they made the moves a week after they lost in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. I think they're a better team now than they were last year at any point. So they should be. I don't think they should be 1. I always believe the champs should always be 1 going into the season. That's just how I feel.
Isn't it? It's just difference in the NHL, right? Because that 2010 Chicago team already started dismantling within a week in terms of, Buffalo being gone and Troy Brouwer, but they ended up winning 2 more. It's just the way the NHL is now. What's much Canucks talk out there, by the way?
I try not to bring it up too much. I don't want to upset my Vancouver Canuck family members, the people who cheer for everybody out here, because, I'm not paying to stay here.
I get it.
So
I get it.
Why go there? Why go there? But everybody's pretty jacked up about them.
They should be.
Yeah. I think the Canucks are a very good team. I just, every team goes through injuries. I think losing, not having Demko hurt them. But every team has injuries. You just got to be rolling at the right time in the playoffs. And I thought that the Oilers got better as that series wore on. I also believe that Vancouver Oilers series was the one that really helped push the Oilers to the Cup final because it just took them to the next level. And you got to have that, right? So.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, through sheer curiosity, I'm just wondering what your Olympics
experience is. Are you into it? Are you not into it? Like, I was quasi into it at the start, but a lot of the negative media coverage just turned me off the whole thing. I know there's good stories, but there's a lot of other things to follow, and I'm not. Are you, though?
I think I'm not a summer games guy, but I follow. Like, I'm always interested in the men's 100 meter race because I think that to me is the highlight event always. But we live in Canada, and if it's a beautiful day, I'm not going to stay inside. And with the time zone factor, I'm not going to watch too much. But when the weather is so gorgeous, I'd rather be golfing. I'd rather be riding the canal between lakes in Penticton for an afternoon and sitting at home watching the Olympics. Winter games for me are everything. I love the Winter Olympics, but the summer ones, I go, it's not necessarily what we're best at, but for the most part, I'm curious. But I don't watch live. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, we are getting better, Bryn. We are getting better in the summertime.
Yes, we are.
But the Elks, the Edmonton Elks might not. I mean, you're a longtime Edmonton sportscaster. You got your finger on the pulse, podcasted for a long time as well. Word association, Edmonton Elks. Yeah. Go.
Yeah, it's losers. They just haven't won very much. I think the biggest issue for me, Rod, is the fact that they learned nothing from last year. That's one of the reasons why Chris Jones is gone. They needed to go with Trey Ford based on what he did last year. He should have been your starter. Now, Bethel Thompson I thought when they brought him in, he was to work with Trey Ford, not be the starter for 6 games. And once again, they're behind the 8 ball. They probably won't make the postseason unless this guy goes in an absolute tear. But why did they wait so long? That's the question. Jarius Jackson, I was surprised when he didn't go with Trey Ford right away. If you're going to make changes, you better start making some changes, right? So the interest level has been tepid at best, but all you got to do is start winning. You know that. Every city's exactly the same. When you start winning, that's when people start to get interested. But there's not a lot of intense interest in the Canadian Football League, in my opinion anyway, in Edmonton right now. But if Trey Ford keeps the last 2 games, came in late, and that first game, then I thought he played great in the last one in Saskatchewan, did what he had to do. The biggest issue everyone says is the defense isn't good enough. The defense has been on the field too long. By the time they get to the second half, they're totally bagged. If your offense is doing a better job, the defense looks better, right?
I'll tell you something, Bryn. This is where you and I could go spend a lot of time. When you say they need to win, I'm hearing that all the time from everybody. The Kevin Cariuses, the Eddie Steers, and so forth. But here's the thing. And by the way, I travel a lot. I'm around a lot, as are you. Every city's the same. I just heard this the other day. I was up at Wendell Clark's restaurant in Saskatoon. The owners, I was with Byron and Gary, the owners. They're like, Saskatoon's tough. You got to win. Boys, every town is. Every town is. Yeah. In Edmonton, is it that simple with the Elkamos that if they win, they'll get back to at least 25,000 a game?
Maybe. I think this league now is a 25,000 a night league. I don't think you're going to see those 35, 40,000 crowds very much anymore. I just think that's a demographic issue for me. I just think the younger generation, I'll use 18 to 35. I think there's less interest in that group, and that's the group that's got to drive this now, right? So I think 25,000 is a great crowd in the CFL. If they can get back to that in Edmonton, I think they'd be really happy with that.
And all it would take is winning?
I think winning is some of it, but you're always going to be number 2 in the market behind the hockey club by a long shot. And so, however, they've done really well with the basketball team, the Stingers. The Riverhawks been a really great little baseball story down in the River Valley. They've drawn over almost did 120,000 in a shortened schedule, a split schedule. So people are going to sporting events, but you got to create some excitement. It can't only be about what's on the field or what's on the diamond. You've got to turn it into a complete family event, and both the Stingers and the Riverhawks have done it. The Elks are trying to do it. Winning obviously is a huge element, but we'll see where they go with this over the next little while. And now we're starting to move towards, well, you know what it's all about. When you start to move towards Labor Day, people start to get more interested too, right?
Yeah, I never got that. When they the unofficial kickoff to the season.
I know you did.
The CFL season is Labor Day. Yeah, you missed half the season, guys. But, I'm hearing this a lot from Edmonton. You're from there, right? You're from Edmonton, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hear it from the Mark Spectors and the Jason Gregors and the A.J. Jakubics even. People think he's an Ottawa guy, but he's not. He's an Edmonton guy. You know this, but it would surprise younger people that they say in their youth, the Oilers and the Eskimos were even. Eye to eye.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And who would believe that now in any Canadian market? But it was a fact, right?
Well, absolutely. And also, when I started going to Eskimo games back in the day, it was a horrible team. I went to Clark Stadium as a kid in an area at the end zone called the Knot Hole Gang. Every CFL team had an area to develop their younger fan base. And it was awful. It wasn't until Tom Wilkinson got there in, I think probably 1974 that they started to win. And then they really went on a winning tear. But you know what? I think to appreciate winning, you've got to go through some horrible losing. The Oilers did that. We had the glory years in the 80s, and then we had the gory years in the 1990s. And then, they haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1990. So you've gone through a lot of pain. They've got, obviously to the Stanley Cup final twice. I just think that that's the development of the city, is that we're a hockey town first, but still a very strong. If you bring a really good sporting event to the city of Edmonton, they will support it. I'll bet you the attendance at the Holinka is probably pretty good, even though the weather has been, it's typical August, but they'll turn up. If they think it's a big event, they will turn up. If they think it's a big game, they'll be there, even if you're losing, but you still got to win.
It looks like it's been a decent crowd. I've been catching some of the games on TV. So, Bryn, I always enjoy the chats. And as you know, it's not just like sports. It's like life. You don't appreciate the good till you've gone through the bad. And I know you're appreciating the good, buddy. So, listen, you're out of here.
Absolutely.
Say it.
Yeah.
Please. Say it.
I know.
Say it.
I will. Hey, Rob Carney's watching. I know he's probably laughing already at this point. He's tuning in at Moose Jaw, but I'm Bryn Griffiths, Rod. I'm out of here.
How about that? Bingo!
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Bryn Griffiths, he's out of here.
Let's go.
We'll be right back with overtime He's gone. He's gone. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover after this here on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, live streaming on YouTube daily, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
Professional basketball is back in Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Rattlers are heating up. Catch them live at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon from May through August. The team is packed with high-caliber talent from the NBA, NCAA, and professional leagues around the world, with a head coach straight from the LA Clippers. Secure your seats now on Ticketmaster, starting at just $20. See you in the state.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
I don't know if this is good or bad. I don't know. It is what it is. What I mean by that is we're brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Here in Overtime, we always are. Where skill and fun collide. Now's the time you should be working on your shooting, guys and gals. And in-betweens, check them out at Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast in Cowtown, where skill and fun collide. I call it an amusement park for hockey players, and I will be dropping by there next week when I'm in town for the Breaking Free Foundation Golf Classic, which I'm hosting, Theron Fleury's golf event at the Winston. Tony from George Fox Country writes in, and he says, wow, a guy needs a shot of Ritalin to keep up with this show. To be honest, that's what we want. You can say we're all over the place. Many have. That highfalutin TV producer who says the show has ADD, who's never come back, was right. But you know what? You ain't never going to be told, let it be said that it's boring. Right? So Scott in Vancouver says, I thought you guys were talking NFL. We were going to. But then Bryn Griffiths came up, and what are you going to talk with Bryn about? NHL, CFL, and global sports, because he's a global kind of guy. He's been everywhere. Just one more from Tony in George Fox Country. He says, I was a member of the Knothole Gang back in the 60s, too. The Knothole Gang. Kids section while the dads were drinking beer in Clark Stadium. I remember I caught a field goal one. They wouldn't let me keep the ball. No, of course not. I believe the Blue Jays had a Knothole Gang, too. I'm pretty sure they can. Old-time Blue Jays fans tell me that. And the only reason I know was listening to Tom Cheek on the radio, because I used to produce Blue Jays broadcasts on the radio back in the day. And Tom Cheek used to talk about the Knothole Gang all the time. As a matter of fact, I think it was called Tom and Jerry's Knothole Gang. Can somebody confirm or deny, please? We keep Fridays all about football, and I know a lot of you feel that's your favorite day of the week. We got a lot to get into. There's just so much to talk about right now, and we reserve Fridays for football just for that. We don't dabble in the other stuff, the Olympics, the hockey, the baseball. We don't dabble in it. We just don't. We do football, and we'll get more into this text message I got from a U.S. football coach today. I asked him, is there a Canadian bias against Nathan Rourke in the NFL? And he said, yes. One word, yes. He's not getting the shot because football people are all sitting around going, why is Nathan Rourke not getting his shot? He's proven that he's good enough to start in the NFL. Why won't he get that shot? Sorry to tell you, but the football people are saying it's because he's Canadian. Now, having said all of that, this poll question, it's all I can do, Clark, you know this, to not out the person that came up with it. And it's not Clark. As Darren would say, it's somebody who works in the CFL came up with it. Outside our show circle, but inside enough that we would allow him the chance to come up with a poll question. And it is, should Corey Mace be on the hot seat if the Riders lose tonight? It's gone crazy. And I'm not going to be
privy to it or part of it, okay? Some guy wrote in, Clark, if you want to go look at the replies, or maybe don't. Maybe don't, Clark, if you don't want to ruin your afternoon. Some guy's like, you guys are just on his ass because he's black. Oh, yeah, Clark's like this. Clark's like, the day's ruined already. Yeah, go. You guys just don't like him because he's black. You're the one that went there, bro, not us. Maybe take a good hard look in the mirror. That's just how stupid it's gone. So after this, I'm calling baseball tonight. I'm not worried about show stuff. Get a life. Sports update, the Canadian women's beach volleyball team will play for gold after defeating Switzerland in semifinal play at Eiffel Tower Stadium today. After dropping the opener, Melissa Humana Paredes and Brandy Wilkerson of Toronto saved a match ball in the second set before forcing a decider on extra points. Maude Chiron of Rimouski, Quebec, has won a silver medal in the women's 59-kilometer weightlifting event. She lifted 106 kilograms in the snatch and 130 kilos in the clean and jerk. Winnipeg's Skylar Park, who lost her Taekwondo quarterfinal 2-0 to South Korea's Kim Yoo-jin, is still in contention for a bronze medal. She needed Kim to advance to the medal to enter the repechage. I'm done. For Landmark Cinemas, it's Seniors Day every Monday at Landmark Cinemas. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price, and to sweeten the deal, receive 20% off their concession purchase too. So make Mondays your movie day, because a great deal never gets old. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes and pricing. LandmarkCinemas.com. Yes, I'm in a great mood. I'm happy. It's because Serena's in town. And you can catch us broadcasting baseball tonight on Home Team Live. Moose Jaw Miller's going for a sweep over the Red Sox. Sweep the Red Sox. We'll do it all again tomorrow with Morley Scott and Jim Barker on a Football Friday right here. Who has more fun than us?